Hey everyone, Connie again, with another Adventure Time review. And sorry for the wobbliness, this is actually on my lap right now. Sorry for the, oh geez, for the lighting as well. I can't do anything about that. But, so we're here for another one. I just had finished recording the other one and I got to watching more episodes. And it's like, then I got to Ocarina, a couple episodes after the last one. Yeah, it's like I didn't expect to be talking about another one so soon, but this one needed to be talked about. So, we find out that Jake has been he's not been the best father. He's been I wouldn't even really say like abandoning his children or anything or not really being there for them, but he hasn't been doing enough. And because of this, one of his sons, I cannot remember the full name of it. Let me look that up real quick. Kim Kil-wan. Okay. So because of that, his son Kim Kil-wan uh, is basically just fed up with his father's lifestyle, I guess. So he purchases, well, actually, not even purchases, he trades this really awesome guitar to Marceline for the deed to the treehouse. Because I think we've heard before in the past about how the treehouse was given to Finn and Jake by Marceline. Um, I think so, at least. But so he gets the deed to the house, and he doesn't kick them out, but he starts renting the treehouse out in these separate like apartments. Like the bathroom is an apartment. There's this ladder in the treasure room that's an apartment, and the ladder is what Finn and Jake basically get. um, and it's just, nothing is going well. They're trying to figure out a way to get it back to get things to work, and nothing is going well. Eventually, they decide to follow him and find out that he's living at this high-rise apartment, and it's a pretty expensive place. So they realize Kim Kil-wan, he doesn't need the money. He's not doing this. He didn't get the deed, and he's not renting the places out, the treehouse out, for the money. So they're thinking like it's got to be something else, and it's like right when that part hit, it's like it clicked for me. It's like, oh, he's doing this because out of spite. He's doing this because his father hasn't been paying enough attention to him and his siblings. And I get it. Like, I mean, that's going a bit far, but so Finn and Jake get his attention, and Jake offers some fatherly love to him in exchange for the house back. He he crafts this ocarina for his son, and even though it doesn't really work and is just kind of there, it's just kind of like a rock at that point. Um, Kim Kil-wan is, I guess, touched by his father's attempt. The fact that Jake is even trying, the fact that Jake is showing that he wants to show his kids love, and Jake has never been like an absentee father exactly. He's not the best father, but he does care for his kids and he does want to be there for them. Just a lot of time he hasn't. And I think that this episode almost kind of plays into the fact that there haven't been a lot of episodes with the kids. It's kind of like self-aware in that fact. Um, and so we see that Kim Kil-wan is actually kind of touched by this and accepts the offer. He gives them the deed to the house. So now instead of Marceline having it, Finn and Jake themselves, uh, I guess mostly Jake, because he gave it to Jake, they now own the treehouse 100%. They can do with it as they please, basically. Um, and then we see him, Kim Kil-wan, go back into his apartment, and we find out he has a wife. Like, that part actually surprised me. Not that I wouldn't believe it. I mean, obviously, we know that Jake's kids grew up really fast. I think that had to do with their Rainicorn, the Rainicorn side to them. Um, I think it was mentioned before why they grew up so fast, but still, I think it was the rainicorn thing. Um, but we find out he has a wife and all, and we find out his entire reasoning for doing this wasn't out of spite, actually, but it was because he wanted to help his father. He felt that his father was living this childish life, and he wanted him to grow up and become an adult. But he admitted there that it's really his choice, and that in the end he understands that his father's still a good guy. And I really like that because this episode, and it was that ending that really made me want to talk about this episode, because a lot of people don't get that, especially the older generations. We as the younger generations, millennials and youngers, we're a lot different. We live different lives. We value and prioritize different things than the older generations. The older generations, people like my father's age, for example, they prioritize work above all else. And in a lot of ways, we don't view that as good. I personally find that annoying, to be honest, to value work above all else. I mean, even outside of the Christian thing and me valuing God above everything, I mean, I value people, family and friends, and my relationships with them more than I would ever value work. I value my mental health more than I value work, stuff like that. And it's like, that's why I haven't worked since 2013 outside of YouTube. Because, again, you guys know, but in 2013 I did have my massive depressive state where I tried to kill myself, and part of the reason was because of working, and it's because depression, anxiety, my autism, everything like works against me, to where whenever I try to do like actual physical labor or any real work, it sends me into this downward spiral of my mental health. And just even doing something as mundane as doing the dishes is extremely hard for me. And that may sound silly, that may sound stupid, for people who don't understand that, for people who don't really have to think about that, for people who can do work without having those negative effects. It sounds preposterous. Preposterous. I have no idea how to pronounce that proper. Every time I pronounce that, I always feel like I'm pronouncing it wrong, and I have no idea if I am or not. You know what I mean, though. It sounds completely unreasonable. But that is how my mind works, and it's not something I can help. It's not something I can change or just get over. And that's why I've been afraid of getting a job for so many years, because of that experience has, in a way, scarred me. It's not quite like PTSD or anything. It's not like traumatic event exactly, but it scarred me in a way to where I'm legitimately afraid of getting a job. And the point I'm going to with all of this is that in this episode it said with Kim Kil-won that his father has a different lifestyle and he's entitled to that. It made a point of saying he has the right to have that lifestyle. And it was just saying that Kim Kil-won did want better for him, but he realized he shouldn't force it on him. He realized that this is just who his father is. And he's not going to be able to change that. And he values his father's love, for sure. And he wants to see his father do better. But honestly, I think he's come to realize that his father's doing fine. It may not be the ideal life in his eyes, but his father's living. His father is living, he's surviving, he's doing everything he can and everything he needs to. And I think Kim Kil-won started to realize that. He may struggle with that in the future, and I don't know if this conflict will ever come back. It may not. But I really like the concept of this, because I like that it touched upon, yes, they have different ideals on what having a successful life means. To Kim Kil-won, it means having a stable job, a stable income, a loving family to take care of. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to Jake, a successful life is living with his brother, having all these fun adventures, and just being the person he wants to be. And there's nothing wrong with that either. And a lot more people need to realize that different people can live their lives in different ways, and you shouldn't try to force your ideals onto someone else. Because let's look at it. Kim Kil-won. That's what he was basically doing this episode. He was trying to force his father into getting a stable job and stable income by taking over the treehouse and forcing his father to have to pay rent and everything, something Jake had not done before, in order to keep living there. And I mean, granted, until the entire incident with them spending all their treasure, they probably could have easily paid the rent for years with all that treasure they had. But they did spend it all. But the point, that's not even the point. The point is he wanted his father, like you saw, when Finn and Jake came to the apartment and he saw them and everything, and Kim Kwan saw them, and Jake told him, like, I haven't even been looking for a job. You saw the disappointment in his face. You saw the disappointment in Kim Kil-won's face. He's like, oh. And it's like, he wanted to help him, but in the end realized that he wasn't doing so by trying to force this on him. And that's how it goes in real life. Trying to force your ideals or beliefs, especially on how someone should live their lives, on them, is not going to help. It's going to make them resent you in a lot of cases. It's going to make them even worse off in a lot of cases. The way to help them is through love and affection, through understanding, not by trying to force things on them. That's something a lot of people need to learn. My father is one of them who definitely needs to learn that. I mean, and many others in his age range and above, they all have these same ideas that people should all live the same way, basically. That people should always have stable jobs and incomes and be self-reliant. We're in a world where self-reliance isn't the norm anymore. And these older generations just can't handle that. Because that's what they know. That's what they believe because of the way they were brought up to be normal, to be right. But it's not right for everyone. And that's not saying that there's not millennials and younger who are completely fine with having stable jobs and incomes and want that kind of lifestyle. There are plenty of them. I have friends who have that kind of lifestyle and live that way. I have plenty of friends who do, and who put work as their highest priority in life. Yeah. But I also have friends who are the other way around. I have friends who are somewhere in between. People have different lifestyle choices, and we need to respect that. Some people have different reasons for them, too. Like, two people who choose to have that stable life, income, job, and family situation, they might not have that for the same reason. Two people who have more of a lifestyle like me, no stable job, no stable income, living with my parents, it might be for different reasons. For me, it's because I have a legitimate fear of getting a job. And it may be an unfounded fear to a degree, but it's something I can't help, and it's something that just is debilitating for me. I have these mental illnesses that just destroy me emotionally and mentally, and keep me from really having a stable life at all. But other people like this may just not want that, just personally not want it. It's hard to say unless you ask these people. So the point is that I really wanted to talk about this episode, not only because it was just a good episode, but because it brought up all of these thoughts on life and like this realistic struggle. This episode, I believe, came out in 2014, and yet it's still just as relevant today, 4 years later. Because really, it was in the 2010s that this really became a thing, that these kinds of issues really came to light. And I think this is something that needs to be discussed. And there's going to be viewers, and even viewers of this video, who don't agree with me. I know some of you will not agree with me. But I don't expect you to. I don't expect you to agree with me. I don't expect you to understand my viewpoint on this. But I needed to get this out there. I know I've been rambling for a long time about all of this, but this is something I really wanted to talk about. This isn't as epic or anything as Something Big was, the other episode I reviewed today, but this one needed to be talked about, again, because of the realistic connection it has with people in today's world, and myself especially. If you agree or disagree or whatnot, that's fine. It doesn't matter what your thoughts on this are. You can have any thoughts on this all. That's completely fine. We're entitled to our opinions. So, yeah. It was just a really relatable, real, it was a blah, 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 blah. It was a very good episode. And it connected to reality in a really meaningful way, and something that I personally can connect to. Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, though. Did you agree with my views on this, or did you disagree? I'm fine with hearing either point. Tell me why, or even if you found certain parts of my thoughts on this right and certain parts wrong, tell me that as well. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And thank you so much for tuning in today. As I said in the last one, this will not be a thing for every episode. Just certain episodes here and there that I feel are either important to talk about, are really big episodes for the show, or ones that are just really interesting and I really want to discuss. So thank you once again for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie Royal, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.